Hey guys, welcome to today's show. So I have a very special guest with me today, and his name is Will Fisher. Will's 27. He's in a relationship, and him and his girlfriend are actually expecting their first child in just a few months' time. So it's a very exciting period for him. He's also an entrepreneur, a business owner, and a yoga and meditation teacher. And I'm very interested to find out more about that. So we basically met not too long ago, Will, a few months ago at Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power event, which was epic. And I immediately noticed that when I met Will, I think we were one of the keen ones who would try to get in front of the queue, right, every single morning. I mean, you're talking 12,000 people, and we're just trying to get right at the front. So it shows how committed we are to hitting our goals.
Yes.
But I immediately noticed Will's was warmth and his real friendly energy. He had this wonderful enthusiasm about him. And then when I heard his story, it just really stuck into my mind. Will's an adventurer, but super laid back, super chilled, and it's great to have him on. So Will, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Andy.
Great. Well, Will, I want to just dive right in and give myself and the people watching and listening just a chance to find out a little bit more about you, Will. Could you briefly share your background with us? You know, the kind of significant things that you feel has happened in your life that has shaped you to become the man you are today.
Sure. Well, so I haven't always been a yoga meditation teacher. So let's start a bit before then. I think that's probably the best way to set the scene. So before I came in touch with yoga and meditation, I was a DJ. I was into illegal squat parties with friends, massive sound system, alcohol, drugs in the area, you know, in the vicinity, maybe not so uplifting environments all the time, but just lots of dancing, of course, enjoying and living for the weekend. And I definitely met a lot of people who sent me on my journey where I am today. But I'm very happy to be away from that kind of lifestyle because it wasn't uplifting. It wasn't so empowering. It was just sensory overload and enjoyment like that. So from there, one of my best friends, we first traveled together in 2012 for 7 months in South America. And I got really kind of into traveling and seeing the world and meeting new people and experiencing new things. And then I met my partner after that trip, and we decided to go to New Zealand. We spent a year in New Zealand, living in a van, going from being together for a few months to living in a van together, which was a really interesting experience, learning how to kind of co-live, co-create two people in very small amount of space. So there was a lot of growth involved in that. And then after New Zealand, we traveled to India, and I had this urge to try yoga and meditation. And I think it had come from seeing a friend practice and try yoga and meditation, and like hearing his experience of it. And I think that's planted a seed. But when I got to India, I really had this urge, and I knew that India was the place to try and to learn yoga and meditation. So we went to Rishikesh in the north of India. We traveled 52 hours on a train, which was pretty cool. It was late by, I think, 8 hours as well. But we finally arrived, and we planned to spend one night in this retreat center or an ashram. But they were like, no, the minimum you can spend is 3 nights. We were okay. 3 nights. Should we do it? You know, 3 nights are a lot when you're traveling and you want to move and see more, especially India. It's a massive country. And we were like, okay, 3 nights we can do. And quickly those 3 nights turned into 2 months for me and 3 months for my partner. So it just kind of, it changed from there. We started to experience and enjoy the yoga and meditation and feel its benefits instantly. I went into that retreat center as a smoker, having tried to quit so many times, and it just fell away, you know. I've never wanted to smoke or even had the inkling to smoke since. It was really an interesting experience. And then from there, we wanted to share those things we've learned with the world.
Wow. Awesome. That's so going back then, I'd love to start where you started. you said you got into the illegal music scene.
Yeah.
How did you get into that scene, Will? And what was happening in your life at the time? Was this during studies, or were you working in a job at the time?
Yeah, so it was a mixture of, because it was a reasonably long time, a big part of my life. So that was, yeah, when I was studying, but it was also when I was working and in between um, trips away when I went to South America for 7 months. And yeah, it was in Cambridge. So Cambridge used to have a really big music scene, and an underground music scene as well, with massive sound systems and that kind of sound system culture, which when I look back on from now, I think it is obviously music is very positive and healing, but I think it is quite a maybe negative atmosphere, and it's yeah, it's certainly not uplifting, empowering, and inspiring. There's a lot of drugs and alcohol in these environments, and violence even sometimes as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what was the turning point for you? What was there a trigger that made you rethink what you were doing at the time?
I think having like traveling and meeting people and having conversations with people like we did at UPW, and being inspired by a person or just hearing something, and it kind of plants a seed in the mind of a different way of living a lifestyle or a life. And I actually started to get very inspired and energized by spending time in nature, actually. So I started to go climbing when I was in New Zealand, and I wouldn't want to waste my weekend by being hungover. I wanted to be out and climbing and enjoying the nature and the mountains and the lakes. So I started to see that as yeah, a way to waste my time and my ability to use my time, actually.
Mm.
So that was like a subtle shift in perspective, and it just continued from there, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that subtle shift
Yeah.
um, actually led to quite drastic action, because
Yeah.
they're very different and extreme and contrasting environments.
Yeah. Massively.
So, and then you went traveling. You had the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
So how did that fit in with what were your career goals at the time? Um, you seem to be quite flexible with that you didn't have a set paths in mind when you studied, or even after you finished your education.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. So I always knew I wanted to set up my own business, and some of the jobs I worked I worked a variety of different jobs to save up to go traveling. One of them was helping a man with a food store, which he would go and sell vegan and vegetarian food at some of the biggest festivals in the UK, like Glastonbury, Reading, these different festivals. And at that point, I was like, oh, this could be a nice business. Because I was still very much involved in that music and being out and yeah, drinking a lot, staying up till like 5 a.m, working with no sleep but a beer in my hand. And I was like, yeah, maybe I want to set up my own food store. And then after that trip in India where we got exposed to yoga and meditation, we went to a festival to be like, okay, we'll just scope it out one more time and we can work out what kind of food store we wanted. And we went and we were like, no, we cannot do this. This is not fitting with our current like lifestyle and how we want to live our life and our days and make the most out of our time and energy. So originally, yeah, we were going for a business in that kind of industry.
Mm.
And then we realized, after being exposed to yoga meditation, we realized that actually we want to do something more integrated with that lifestyle which we are now living.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to
So the
share
food
and share.
stall, yeah. So the food
Yeah.
stall was something that kind of piqued your interest into owning your own business, being an
For sure.
entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Um, but it was too closely related to the type of lifestyle that you wanted to leave behind.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So then on your travels, okay, so that 52-hour train journey, was it like 52 hours in one go?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just watching the world go by, laying in the bed, but with a window next to you, or sitting in the chair, reading. Oh, it was really a fantastic journey, but a
That
long one for sure.
that isn't that is one heck of a train journey.
Yeah,
And in 52 hours.
yeah,
I find 2 hours from Manchester to London long.
yeah, yeah. So since then, we've never complained about a long journey. Yeah. When someone's like, I've got to drive an hour to the airport, we're like, wow, that's not a long time. In Denmark, especially where we live now, um, everywhere, it's such a small country, so people really believe and feel that things are far away when like an hour. But for us, since that train journey, the perspective has definitely
Yeah,
changed.
yeah, yeah. So that long journey then culminated in you staying in one place for 2 months when you
Yeah,
expected just to be there for one night.
yeah,
So you said it was something that you wanted to explore. So you found this particular place to go and explore it, and that was
yeah,
yoga and meditation.
yeah,
Tell us about that. You know, there are many different types, right?
yeah.
It's quite a generic or an umbrella term in a way.
That's true.
Tell us about that, Will.
Yeah, okay. So we were really fortunate basically to find that place. It was by luck. So we'd had a friend who had been there for a meal and one yoga class. And Rishikesh is just there's an abundance of yoga schools. There's probably 100 different yoga classes going on every morning. So we had this one recommendation. We'd done some looking online, and we just hadn't really come up and found something that we wanted to go and look at. But we had this one place, so we thought, okay, we'll go for it. And then we arrived, and they're very welcoming, and it looked like a nice place. It is a nice place, and we just decided to go for it. 3 nights wasn't much. Obviously, we wanted less, and the program seemed like a great program, quite a full program. So we wake up at 5 in the morning, yoga class at 6 for an hour and a half, then some chanting, breakfast, lunch, yoga class again, and then evening meal. So it's a full package. You're kind of looked after from morning till evening, and there's a program, there's a library. Yeah.
So, what made you choose this particular school?
Just the recommendation. Yeah,
Okay,
really. Yeah.
okay. And what type of yoga was this particular school teaching and practicing then?
Yeah, so they teach a holistic hatha yoga practice. So a yoga practice that is available for all, whether you've been practicing for 1,000 times or you're just starting out today. We teach a style of class, so that I actually teach this style now, that is empowering, challenging, and uplifting for all. So yeah, very holistic in its essence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you see, this is a bit that I'm interested to dig into. Like I don't have much exposure to it myself.
Yeah.
How does it combine with meditation? Do they work hand in hand?
Yeah.
You mentioned chanting as well. What's the history? What's the background of this?
Yeah, for sure. So essentially, yoga originally is to prepare the body for meditation, as a way to stretch and strengthen the body. You also work with the mind and the breath, but really to prepare the body for meditating. So that's where yoga really kind of originates from. Is that, but obviously it has so many other benefits with regards to health and well-being, from moving your body, working with the mind as well, working with being present, and yeah,
Hmm.
let's say that.
And how does it? I mean, would you class it as a form of exercise? I mean, how does it compare to so somebody like sweating bucket loads at the gym, for example, or going crazy with the heavy weights or the cardio?
Yeah. Well, yeah, in its in its essence, like yoga is to help to still the mind and become a more um, peaceful, conscious human being. Yoga's the word yoga means union, so it's union from body and mind. So creating, yeah, that integration between body and mind, so we can live very healthily and happily. Our values integrate with our lifestyle, and we don't have like two walls hitting against each other. We maybe work a job. Yeah, if it very much let's say it is yoga is a lifestyle, or can be practiced as a lifestyle rather than just a fitness regime, which it can be practiced as also, and both have benefits, of course. Yeah, I would say you can still go and sweat buckets in the gym for sure, and have a yoga practice or a yoga lifestyle practice, and both are going to benefit you hugely in life for sure.
Sure. Okay. And so, as you mentioned, yoga is a way of preparing the body for the meditation part. So it's like one leads to the other.
Yeah.
And in the meditation, what's the sought after experience in that? What's the benefit? I mean, you could speak from personal experience or even from teaching people.
Yeah. Yeah. So from personal experience, I would say like clarity in my mind, like the ability to kind of zoom out and create space for me to be able to live my life to the optimum, you know, with the maximum amount of energy and drive and ability to do more, and yeah, move away from stress. Like, and stress is a natural part of living. It's when your body is at demand, you feel stress. But stress, when it starts to become a problem, when you're like, maybe when you're reacting rather than acting. So I think it really helps me with that. You know, I have a lot going on with teaching retreats, running our online shop and business, renovating our house at the moment. The days are full, and I really feel like the time in which I take daily to do some meditation or yoga really sets me up with a peaceful slate, you know, like a clean slate every day. I'm ready for the day. I'm being more present, let's say.
And that sounds really powerful, like taking a step back from the action each day,
and
having that time of reflection so that you can just see things in a slightly bigger context.
Yeah, for sure.
Than getting stuck in the weeds. Now, there are meditation practices, or people who say they meditate. Like I say, I meditate, though I don't precede it with yoga. So what would you say would be the real, a special benefit of linking those two practices together? Like, and what's the difference between doing it that way versus, say, just meditating?
Yeah, so both have massive amounts of benefit for sure. But linking the two, I would say, yoga, well, let's say to begin with, let's talk about yoga as a practice. So yoga as a practice can be incredibly meditative and calming for the mind, soothing for the body by itself. So it can be, yoga can be like a meditation in its own aspect. And therefore, that's why it can be so good for then sitting to do meditation, because it really prepares you and starts to calm you and soothe you. And also you move your body, you create space, you're moving around the lymph in your body, and stretching. You know, you wake up in the morning and you feel a bit tight getting out of bed. But if you do like half an hour and a half of yoga afterwards, you feel like fresh and ready, doing some breathing techniques or something like that, like Tony Robbins does actually in his gratefulness meditation, in his priming, that arms breathing. Very uplifting practice, getting the lymph moving in your body, so it's detoxifying your body, but it's also energizing at the same time. Starting the day with that rather than a coffee, for me, is just incredible. I feel like I'm ready to go for the day. We're still in the morning now, you're going to work soon. I'm going to work also. But I feel fresh, like I've been awake for hours, you know, because I've taken that time to have a bit of a routine.
That's
Does
great.
that answer your question?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Will. Yeah, thank you. And so you're always able to get into this type of state when you
Yeah,
do yoga and your meditation routine every
yeah,
single time.
yeah,
And what have you noticed? Like, so actually, so this has become a real a lifestyle for you. You know, you were at that place for 2 months.
yeah,
It's like nearly 2 months longer than you thought you would be,
yeah,
and that really has shaped uh, your future up to the present time.
yeah, yeah. Of course, it could change again, definitely. But I really find, yeah, the way I live my life at the moment very, um, yeah, I feel like I have a lot of energy, which is awesome. I feel like I have time to get the stuff done that I like to do, and I have a good relationship with my partner, and that's awesome as well. Um, but that I think that's also really helpful that we both have a contemplative practice where we take a step back from, like you said, getting stuck in the weeds. You can easily do that in a relationship, getting stuck in the weeds, maybe arguing about silly things, which we do for sure. Um, but every day we both take that step back, you know, out, close our eyes and like take a step back, or even with open eyes during the day, change the perspective, zoom out, see the bigger picture, and I think it really helps us for sure as well in that
Yeah, yeah,
part
yeah.
of our lives.
No, that's awesome. And you bring up a really interesting point, um, because as a coach myself, I work with clients. One of the things I like to do is to facilitate the client being able to see from different perspectives, being able to see from outside the frame, which is very
Mm,
difficult when they're in the picture.
for sure.
And it sounds like through meditation, you're able to take that bigger perspective. Like, how do you get there without someone facilitating that for you, maybe asking the questions or bringing up certain points or directing your thoughts in a particular way? How do you get to that point where you're able to recognize that maybe the thing you're arguing about is a
Mm,
small thing? Like, how do you
yeah,
step out of that? How do you do that through meditation? I'm interested.
yeah. Well, it's so hard to say because it's such a long time ago. I've started meditation, you know, it's for like 5 years ago now. But in my understanding, I would say it's from spending time witnessing consciousness. So witnessing yourself and zooming out, witnessing your mind, and the chatter of the mind. You know, the mind is so busy, it's natural. We all have a busy mind. But witnessing that and witnessing what we tend to hold on to in a confrontive environment, you know, maybe having an argument over who didn't wash up the glass, or just as an example. But just constantly in another part of your day-to-day life, practicing that stepping back, that seeing the bigger picture, and then that naturally flows into other parts of your daily life when you're not doing that. I think that's what's at least happened with me. But it's so hard to say because it's something that's been going on over a long time. But I believe that that when you witness yourself more and witness consciousness, witness your consciousness, you start to see and understand yourself more, and then able to make actions more often rather than reactions, because often we're doing something or reacting to something, even unconsciously, before we've started to react, before we even know that we're reacting. So we can, by witnessing our consciousness, practicing meditation, we can kind of break into that kind of reaction and make it action.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. I love the way you put that, like kind of witnessing your consciousness. And I 100% believe that we do react a lot of the time, on an unconscious way. We're just we're conditioned to certain patterns of thought, certain patterns of
For
behavior.
sure.
We think we're responding to something live and freely in the moment, but actually we're responding to something that's familiar to the thing that we're seeing in the moment. And because
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
seen the thing before, it triggers this pattern and this learned response. And sometimes it's difficult to break out of that,
For sure.
especially if you don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah, yeah, impossible, right?
Impossible.
Unless you know you're doing it.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
and and so that's great. So that doing what you're doing, the meditation on a regular basis really helps you be able to observe your own consciousness, to 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 step outside of that frame.
yeah, and to observe myself in situations as well, in day-to-day life, and how I interact with people and the world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's great. That's so great. So now this it is such a big part of your life, you and your partner's life, that you
yeah,
have actually turned it into a business. So you've married it up with your desire from early on that you wanted to be a business owner, and you've
yeah,
done that. So how did you go about doing that? Well,
yeah. Okay, so after that 2 months, which we spent in the retreat center, we came back to the UK to save up some money to go back. So my partner, she spent 3 months. So she did a teacher training then, and did a month intensive training where you're practicing and learning yoga and meditation 10 to 12 hours a day. And she did that, had an incredible experience. And I was like, I want to do that too. But it was great to begin with that she did that, because she then had the experience to continue to share and teach and create classes that we could do ourselves. So I was like, okay, I'm doing this as well. We'll save up some money and we'll go back for 2 months. So we booked a flight, return flight. So going out, coming back 2 months later, I take the course for a month and then we travel a little bit. Maybe we had a few weeks before, a few weeks after. I'm not too sure. I can't remember. But after the course, our teacher, he travels around the world. He spends half of his time in Canada, half of the time in India, and in a few places in between. Teaching yoga and meditation. So he, when he goes away, he decided that he wanted someone to stay there and look after the place. It's a fully staffed place, but he wanted some other people to stay. So he asked us, would you like to stay and run and look after the retreat center, teach every day while I'm away? And we were like, well, this is a good opportunity to get that experience as teachers, but also learn, be in the environment, which is very conducive to meditation and yoga. Food cooked for us, a library just filled with amazing books. So we were like, okay, we'll do this. So we actually lost the flight. We didn't get our money back. So we spent a whole year there, living there, teaching. So that's how the ball rolled from there. And during that time when we were there, we saw people bring in groups, and they would bring them on a group retreat. They would teach, show them the area, share different like transformational experiences, similar to the things we do at UPW, but a bit different. And we were like, wow, that's a really cool thing to do. We'd like to do that too. So we started to work on a website in our free time, sitting in the library, making a website, starting to create a brand, basically. And then we launched our first retreat shortly after there, and then brought people back the next year. That was the retreat. We brought people to the retreat center. We booked the place. We taught the yoga. We gave them an amazing 9-day intensive program of learning and practice and changing your perspective, giving people the opportunity to see things in a different light. And then, the balls just kept rolling from there. And we now do several retreats a year. I'm actually going to India in I think it's about 2 weeks now. We have a group of 12 people coming with us. Actually, 11 people coming with us, 13 including us, for an amazing 9-night trip, focusing on learning yoga philosophy, yoga history, daily yoga practice, evening practice, meditation, full program, seeing beautiful places at the foothills of the Himalayas. So I'm super excited for that. And that's kind of what I'm focusing on at the moment, is kind of preparing mentally for that, and making sure we got lots of amazing things planned for our
Yeah,
guests.
yeah,
But yeah, the ball's just been rolling since then, basically.
yeah.
And, yeah.
I can see the excitement on your face. I can hear it in your voice.
Good.
Uh, and the people that attend these retreats, like what's their profile out of interest? What's their, what type of people? What's their background? I mean,
Yeah, that's so interesting, because we never really know who's going to come, and that's what's so exciting about it. And we have, yeah, people from all around the world coming, all different backgrounds, different jobs, different careers. People who have been practicing yoga for a month, someone who's been practicing yoga for 15 years. Um, and the great thing is, we just all come as human beings, and we meet and we create something together. There's only so much planning me and my partner can do into making this retreat, but the people that come really have a influence on how it goes, where it goes, the group energy, the atmosphere. But it's so cool that we have loads of different people, different ages. We have people up to 70, some people in their early 20s. That's so cool, and I really like that, the fact that we're making something that's attractive for all and available for all. And
yeah,
that's really what we wanted to do as well. Yeah.
yeah. Well, congratulations on setting that up, Will, and it sounds like it's going really, really well.
Thank you.
A question comes to mind here, and is, do you ever get anybody attending these things having a certain expectation and then being disappointed afterwards?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And yeah, of course, expectation. I think what comes with expectation is disappointment, actually. And obviously, if someone, some of these people have never met us before, so they've read our website, they've read our bios, and they obviously like it, and then they decide to come. So one of the most important parts at the beginning of our retreat is setting the scene. So we have a welcome chat with everyone, where we really clean up all of our slate. So we start on a new kind of expectation for the retreat. And that is what we really found that's essential. And that helps with people's explanations and disappointments. So we're very fortunate. All of our retreats we finished, we just had most amazing feedback. We always do a feedback form, our workshops too. And it's so nice to hear people's experience and how much has impacted their life in a positive way afterwards, even during the retreat. And yeah, we get a lot of feedback which is useful for us. And yeah, it's so nice to hear how it's improving people's lives, really.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's great. And you do seem like the type of guy who takes feedback well and
Yeah,
uses it in a constructive way.
that's important, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Growth is really with feedback, and I think in society in general we can be lacking in giving feedback, but if you hold back feedback from someone, you are holding back their growth. I really think that. I believe.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
And how much do you consider when you give feedback what the other person's response might be? Because that's a common reason for not giving it, because you just don't know how the person will receive it and whether they'll receive it in love.
Yeah, that's always a tricky thing to navigate. I think the best thing to do is to always ask someone if you can give them feedback first, rather than giving them feedback without asking. I think that definitely helps. And then the way you give feedback as well. Always give if you're giving something constructive, give something positive as well. I was always taught to make a sandwich. Positive, constructive, positive.
The good old feedback.
Start with the positive, finish with the positive, and you're winning, right?
Yeah, that is such a recognizable theme, that one.
Yeah.
When people, as soon as people spot you doing it to them, they're like, and typically, actually, people when they receive it, I've seen it before when I've done it. It's like, they do forget the bun, and they just kind of take me in the middle, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, so he said this and she said this, and they just
Yeah.
take negative from it.
But we all have emotions, and we all can be hurt. So it's so important, we're all sensitive. Maybe some more sensitive than others. I'm quite a sensitive person for sure. Um, yeah, so it's so important to respect that definitely when sharing with people. And
Yeah, great. Well,
sure.
thank you so much. I have one final question before we leave it for today.
Yes.
Um, how do you intend to increase your impact going forward?
Yeah, good question. So our plan is just to grow our business and our reach even more, to share with more people, and to be able to impact more people's lives. So growing our business, reaching into different markets, different countries, and just doing more and sharing more, and doing better as well, learning more. That's a really important part for us as teachers and people that share, is constant, never-ending growth and learning, and I really love that. So I love to do that. So that's really where I want to move from here. So learn more, bring that into our business, grow the business more, share with more people, have more impact, bigger, better, happier, let's say.
Sure. And all that is like, it wraps up in terms of being fulfilled, not just driven to success for success sake, doing something that's meaningful.
For sure.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It's I really enjoyed hearing that, hearing your background, going from Cambridge and into the nightclub scene, and doing what people can end up getting drawn into because of the fast-paced life, and just kind of living like indulgence type of lifestyle, to just moving away and doing what you're doing now. It's such a massive contrast. I can imagine what kind of a different Will might be sat in front of me right now if you continue down that.
Yeah, quite different. I had 100 dreadlocks as well.
Did you really?
But not only did I look different,
wow.
I was different, yeah. It was an important part of my life, because it's brought me to who and where I am now, of course. And I don't regret anything. It really brought me to the who I am now. So
yeah. And that's really, that's a really good point too. When you're able to own everything that you've gone through, as opposed to dismissing it and repressing it, it's just taking full ownership of it. And that doesn't mean you have to really love what you were doing before, and you have to really appreciate it, but it's at least acknowledging it, because it's been quite formative in who you are today.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Great. Well, thank you so much. What an incredible journey that you've been through, and that you're still on. You're about to start a family as well. That's something
that's exciting
for you as you grow your business, and as you work on your relationship. Your family is going to grow. That's going to bring its own blessings and challenges as well.
For sure.
Honored to have met you at UPW, Will, and just thank you for giving your time and sharing your story.
Oh, thank you, Andy. It was awesome to meet you too at UPW, and I hope we get to spend some more time together in the future, for sure.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much, Will. You take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.